Hi again. Okay. One of the big words today in tech is the Internet of Things. This idea that wherever we go, we can be digitally connected to the physical devices around us. So far, this has meant smart coffee pots that turn on when you get out of bed in the morning, or smart cars whose doors open when you get close to them. However, the idea of the Internet of Things can go so much further than this, giving us unprecedented control of the connections that we want to have between people and the world around us. The key to creating these transformative connections is to stop thinking in terms of specific products or specific technologies and to begin thinking about what kinds of experiences do I want to have with the people and the world around me. Now, when I was an undergraduate at Stony Brook University, I found out that they were creating a 50-year plan of where they wanted to go in the future. And this plan was incredibly vague and lengthy, and it left no room for student or staff or faculty participation. So I created a science fiction story that helped to talk about the consequences of what would happen if people continued to remain detached from the planning process. However, in writing this story, I realized that what I was doing, even though I was talking about civic participation in this story, it was still just a one-way medium. I was just talking to the reader, when in reality, what I wanted was to have a conversation with the reader and to work on a shared vision of the future. So I began to think outside of one medium. I took each chapter of the story and connected it to QR codes, and then placed these QR code posters around campus so that people in their daily lives, they could go around and with their cell phone, take a picture and get the link to the chapter of the stories. This ingrained what was once a vague, boring plan into people's daily lives, making the implications of the plan feel both relatable and important. However, the interactive framework of this story forced students to go further than this. Instead of just saying, yes, I do like this vision of the future, or no, I do not, I prompted them to create stories of their own and their own vision of the future. Now, can we take this idea of location-based stories and expand it to the scale of cities? And can this in turn change the dynamic between city governments and their residents? Can all of a sudden low-income communities who don't generally have the time to go to community planning meetings suddenly have a voice in shaping the future of their community? Can it change the dynamic between real estate developers and neighborhoods, where right now a real estate developer will come in with a proposal and then the community will shout back about what they don't like about it? So instead of doing that, can the community together create a shared vision of what they want in the future, and then work collaboratively with developers to understand what physical infrastructure might be able to create this future? Can we reimagine the idea of education by changing the idea of a textbook? Say a student is studying architectural history. Instead of having a textbook, can they download a mobile application? And as they move throughout the city, their phone can connect to sensors on buildings, and they can get information about the history of that building. This can immensely help students with ADHD, who often have a hard time sitting in a classroom for 8 hours. This can help them create their education on their own terms. Can this idea reshape how we think of the job hiring process by reframing what we think of as a resume? Instead of people scouring LinkedIn for hours to find connections, can instead they input the skills that they have and the projects that they want to work on a mobile application? And as they move throughout their daily lives, when they pass someone who needs those skills, they can be notified. This can help the immigrant who's just moved to America and might be incredibly brilliant, but whose credentials might not have crossed over, or the single mother who's been out of the workforce for several years. This can make the idea of hiring someone less about interviews and resumes and more about honestly having a conversation with someone. This, in turn, presents a new avenue for social mobility, as it creates a new way to create connections between people outside of going to the right school or being from the same place. This idea can change where we think collaboration should happen. Can we make smart benches and smart tables around the cities that can allow any set of strangers to sit down and immediately begin sharing ideas? The way tech campuses have playgrounds to inspire their workers, can we do this on the scale of cities so that everyone can begin collaborating? This can help the elderly or high schoolers or people who just don't typically think of themselves as the innovator type to have an extremely low barrier to just begin creating and sharing ideas. Can we reimagine how we meet someone in a bar? Can there be smart seats that tell you when you've been sitting down too long and you should probably stand up and go and meet other people? Can there be smart glasses that are digitally connected to someone else across the bar and you can scribble them secret messages on the glass? Can there be walls where strangers standing near them, the wall will speak up and help them find topics of conversation to connect with? Can the flow of the bar influence an interactive video game happening on the ceiling? Now, this idea probably won't help social mobility or inequality, but it would be awesome if it could help me find a decent date. The truly transformational objects will only come when we stop thinking about what kind of applications can I make that'll get the most downloads, or what kind of objects can I connect to the internet that'll get me super rich. And when we begin thinking about what kinds of experiences do I want my life to be composed of, and what kind of story do I want my life to be, only then will we get the truly transformational rather than the just simply incrementally better technologies to transform our relationship with the world and the people around us. Thank you.